Welcome, enthusiasts! My name is Jim, and in this web series we'll be exploring the Sega CD game library. Now, the Sega CD has a very special place in my heart. It was the first system when I first realized just how fast-changing the world of console and computer gaming technology was between the late 80s and the early 2000s. I had grown up with the Atari 2600, the Sega Master System, and then, yes, the Sega CD. The Sega CD, or Mega CD, as everyone other than Brazil and the US knew it, was released in Japan in 1991, the US and Brazil in 92, and the rest of the gaming world in 93. Surprisingly, as you will learn, the Sega CD was not a fifth-generation system. It still lives within the fourth generations of gaming consoles. It was an add-on to the already powerful and popular Genesis console, also known as the Mega Drive, and gave the Genesis a new lease on life and expanded both the gaming library and the power of the system. The Genesis has a 7.6 MHz Motorola 68000 CPU. The Sega CD added another 68,000 CPU with 12.5 MHz of processing power. So more clock cycles per second, more stuff could be done, and it did. There were two variants, the Model 1, which was stacked below the Genesis, and the Model 2, which had a side-by-side configuration. I got the Model 1 on Christmas Day, and wow, my mind was blown. It was the heady days of one-upsmanship during the time of the Great Console Wars, as I refer to it. The Sega CD was many people's first introduction into CD-ROM gaming. It wasn't the first CD-ROM game system, but it was probably the most famous at the time, and it lasted from 91 to 1996, when it was discontinued as Sega focused on the Sega Saturn console at the dawn of the 32-bit gaming systems. Now, some of you may also remember the 32X. The 32X, yes. I'm not going to go into great detail on the 32X, but that little unit was developed to bridge the gap between the Sega CD Genesis Gen 4 configuration and the Sega Saturn, and could be used in conjunction with the Sega CD. But either way, it was Sega's attempt to bridge the gap to be the first 32-bit console before Sega Saturn, and more specifically, the Sony PlayStation, which hit the market in 1995. Yes, the Tower of Power. You had the Sega CD, the Sega Genesis, and the 32X, the stack of wonder, a 32-bit CD-ROM gaming system, 5th generation power. However, the 32X was a commercial failure for a number of reasons. I had one, it never worked. I had one game, it froze after the title screen. You know, the 32X had a number of hardware issues and had a very short life cycle. But this isn't about the 32X. I may get into that later on, but I think it's enough about the 32X for now. So I ask you to join me as I explore the Sega CD game library. We will dive first into the somewhat esoteric yet intriguing full motion video, or FMV, game collection, and then look at games that use the FMV elements to help tell their stories and produce a more immersive experience for gamers. Why FMV, you ask? You'll understand it when you see it. They still make FMV games. I bet you've played them recently. They're still relevant. They're still a great way to engage players and still have an alluring way to tell a story, and as an art form. I mean, they're movies after all, and you'll certainly see that soon. So join me in this adventure. Learn of the famous writers, directors, actors, and game developers who delved into this fascinating game experience. Okay, let's do it up.